A reading from St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 22. Once more Jesus spoke to the chief priests and the elders of the people in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding banquet, but they would not come. Again he sent other slaves, saying, 'Tell those who have been invited, look, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they made light of it, and went away, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. Then he said to his slaves, 'The wedding banquet is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore into the main streets, and invite everyone you find to the wedding banquet.' Those slaves went out into the streets and gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing a wedding robe. And the king said to him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding robe?' And he was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, 'Bind him hand and foot, and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" For many are called, but few are chosen. This statement of Jesus has two parts, as the parable accompanying it has two parts. The first part reminds us that many are invited to the kingdom of heaven, but not all respond to the invitation. This is well shown with the history of Israel. God sent many prophets to call people into the covenant he made with Israel through Moses. But the people of Israel were unfaithful to the covenant. They followed idols of neighboring nations and adopted immoral customs of foreign peoples. Similarly, many Christians ignore their baptismal covenant with God and agree with many kinds of opposing ideas to Christianity, and then follow lifestyles contradictory to Christian teachings. As the Lord lives, Christians will also have to face certain consequences, as the two kingdoms of ancient Israel eventually had to encounter: the destruction of the kingdoms and deportations. Now, the second part reminds us that no guarantee of salvation is given to Christians, especially to those who practice faith. This might make many practicing Christians uncomfortable. The second part of the parable implies that the Lord will judge us according to our preparedness for His kingdom. The proper attire for the wedding banquet symbolizes virtues, vigilance, good deeds, or purity. As St. Paul teaches, we should ultimately put on Christ to prepare for the eternal wedding banquet in the kingdom of heaven. When our faith life turns merely mechanical and cultural, in other words, stagnant in repetition of rituals, and blindingly follow religious customs and taboos, our spiritual clothing is no different from the worldly peoples. Unless we desire and work for genuine faith, and unless we strive for virtues, we won't be able to put on the proper attire for the heavenly wedding banquet. Yes, this is a demanding work. Yes, it does not sound simple and easy. And this is exactly what Jesus meant. Few are chosen. We don't have to be depressed at this. Let us remind ourselves, our Lord wants to share His unlimited goodness with us. That's why He calls everyone to His kingdom. He is generous and merciful. However, at the same time, it would be foolish and disastrous to presume God's mercy on me.